Conservative MP for North Thanet, Sir Roger Gale. Good morning to you, Sir Roger.
Good morning, Julia.
Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Now, I mean, you obviously, up close and personal with this, given where you are, your constituency is, but also you've visited this Manston Asylum Processing Centre in Kent, haven't you, where we've seen issues over overcrowding and problems there, and the criticism, a lot of the criticism about Suella Braverman and her activities lately have related to handling of that Asylum Processing Centre in Kent. Are you unhappy with the rhetoric she used in the House of Commons yesterday?
I don't think it was responsible or desirable. It's pandering to the UKIP wing of the Conservative Party. That doesn't entirely surprise me.
Well, let's listen to a very, very short clip of what she actually had to say. This is Suella Braverman in the Commons yesterday.
The British people deserve to know which party is serious about stopping the invasion on our southern coast and which party is not.
Is that pandering to the UKIP wing?
Yeah, I think so. I find it unnecessarily offensive, but that appears to be this Home Secretary's style. So we have to live with that. Look, I'm actually more concerned about the real issue, which is how people are treated, which is how we properly solve the migrant issue, and there is one, and how we move forward in a responsible manner. Just for the record, I need to correct something that was said in your news headlines. This idea that people are being badly treated is wholly false. The people at Manston, the staff at Manston, the Home Office staff, the mighty staff, the catering staff, and the medical staff are all doing their absolute utmost under very difficult circumstances to look after people. The idea that that there are far too many children there, by the way, and these mites who are coming across the channel, they're younger than my grandchildren, and it's terrifying.
Well, they're being brought by their parents in perilous circumstances.
They're being trafficked by people traffickers, and that's another issue.
But you can't, crucially, you're saying, I mean, that we have seen some violence at that centre, but it's actually been migrant on migrant, not from
Julia,
the terror.
idea that they are cold or hungry, or that they are that there is no proper medical facility and that disease is spreading throughout the facility is entirely incorrect. That is completely wrong. I was there on Thursday last week, and then again I spent 3 hours with the Minister of State on Sunday, and neither Robert Jenrick nor I reached the conclusion that people were being badly treated or neglected. What they are is horribly, hopelessly overcrowded, and the staff there are finding it very, very difficult to treat people properly as they would like to treat them, simply because of the numbers. But that is a separate issue.
But that's the key. That's very, very helpful for you to clarify that. We're going to talk to the Immigration Minister, Robert Jenrick, a little bit later in the show and find out what he has to think as well. You said a little earlier, you say, you find the language that Suella Braverman used offensive. But most people, I think, in this country are less concerned about language being used by the Home Secretary, are more concerned by the fact that there are so many of these people in this country, that they're coming here. They're not necessarily, as we know now, vast majority of those arriving now, not the rest of the year, but now, are Albanians, young Albanian men, not fleeing a war-torn country or persecution, and that the huge cost of housing them, £6.8 million a day, billions every year and rising, and that she was pointing out yesterday that we're looking at a cost of £150 average a night to house them in hotels. Well, that's more than a lot of people in this country could afford to pay for a holiday hotel for their family, for goodness sake. I mean, what most people find offensive and difficult and makes them angry is actually the fact that these people are in this country.
I understand all of that, and I have some sympathy with a lot of it. And as people are by now probably throwing bricks at their radio and saying, get Gale off. Let's just understand this properly. We have failed. Successive governments have failed from Blair on, and it was Blair's government that opened the floodgates, if you like. But from Blair on, we have failed to deal with asylum properly. We've had dog whistle politics. We have knee-jerk reactions. I don't believe that, for example, the Rwanda scheme will work or can work or is even proper legally. If we're going to solve the issue, then we're going to have to do it the hard way by negotiation with the French authorities in bilateral terms, and then on a pan-European basis. This is a pan-European issue. It's actually a global issue. and it's one that we need to solve at that level.
Well, that's all very well. No, Sir Roger, it's all very well saying that. And goodness me, I can have politician after politician saying that. What does that actually mean? Europe has open borders, and within the EU, most of the European Union has open borders within each other country. The French have no intention of policing their beaches to stop people leaving the country that they don't want in the country in the first place, and they have no intention of taking those people back once they arrive on British shores. So we can be as lovely as we can send 40,000 red roses to Emmanuel Macron every single day. He ain't gonna take those people back, no matter how nicely we ask.
I happen to believe that and I believe, and you clearly don't, that the manner in which Rishi Sunak has reached out to President Macron and sought to build some bridges and start to get sensible negotiations going is the right approach, rather than the dog whistle approach, which has not worked historically. Now, we are spending £7 million-ish a day of taxpayers' money, putting people into hotels and other facilities. Well, why the blazes, if we've got to go down this road, are we not building proper facilities, creating proper facilities that we, the taxpayer, own, rather than pouring money into hotels, which is like pouring money down the drain? There's been no long-term approach to this. There's been no long-term approach to the accommodation. And the other issue, and here I do agree with my colleague from South Thanet, Craig McKinley, and others who raised this yesterday in the House, is that there is a vast difference between migrants, asylum seekers from Afghanistan and Syria and war zones in North Africa, and Albanian young men coming from a country where there is no war zone, no crisis, no need or right for them to come whatsoever. And I share entirely the view that those people should be turned around immediately and sent back to Albania, a country that is prepared to receive them back. But there are two separate issues here, and we need to understand that and get to grips with the real problem, which is how do we solve the long-term migration problem?
Again, I can only see it getting worse, not better, as we see the world getting poorer post-lockdown, energy crisis, Ukraine invasion, an awful lot of those countries in North Africa and the Middle East. We're already seeing, Ukraine, the Russians reneging on that UN grain deal. People are going to get more desperate. More people are going to be fleeing to Europe, and then they're going to be fleeing here, where we are apparently regarded as a soft touch.
Julia, is precisely why we need a global and a pan-European approach rather than a domestic one.
But what is that approach going to achieve? Because we're not going to suddenly make all these countries much more desirable than living in Europe.
What it means is that we have to establish who we are going to take, from where, on what terms, and how many. And we need to stick to that as a Europe-wide agreement. And we can only do that if we sit down and talk to people. And I know that it's offensive to some people to have to listen to the word Europe in any context. And I'm not just talking about the European Union. I'm talking about the wider Europe, places like Turkey, countries like Turkey, for instance. If we're going to get to grips with this and solve it properly, then we have to be grown up about it and do the heavy lifting and the hard work, not just use emotive language designed to appeal to a section of the population that, frankly, I don't want to appeal to.
I think, frankly, we can be talking about it and negotiating with Emmanuel Macron and the rest of Europe until the end of time, and then we'll be on about 200,000 migrants every single year, and I don't think any of it's going to be resolved. Can I ask you also, given that we are facing such a difficult winter ahead, people's bills, even with that energy bailout being double what they were, lots of businesses already struggling, there's 3 or 4 times what they previously were, inflation, everything people are spending the money on, and now we're told, come autumn, the autumn statement on November the 17th, Rishi Sunak and Jeremy Hunt are planning, we're told, the ground is being laid. Tax rises for everyone. Those stealth taxes are those thresholds at which you start paying a higher rate of tax, coming in earlier and earlier with inflation. And at the same time, just a 2% rise in pay for public sector workers, which will be a massive real terms pay cut for them, basically 2 years in a row. Is this sustainable while we're paying 6.8 million a night for hotels for channel migrants? Is that sustainable?
Well, once again, I'm afraid, and you're normally pretty rational, Julia, but you are now trying to conflate two rather separate
I'm saying
issues.
The British public is going to conflate those two things.
No, you are doing it, and stop it.
No, I will not stop it. I think the British people have a right to know what their taxes are being spent on.
It's not worthy of you. There are two separate issues. One is the asylum issue, which has to be dealt with sensibly and properly. And yes, we can't go on spending that sort of money on hotel rooms, so we need to provide proper facilities, and that is not being done.
That will still cost a fortune.
The other issue is the economic situation that the country faces. And don't ask me to write the autumn statement now, because I'm not going to, but it is quite clear that we have run up huge bills that are going to have to be paid by all of us.
We've run up huge bills, but again, lots of us were warning that we were going to be running up those bills. Just finally, I want to get to Suella Braverman, her letter to the Home Affairs Select Committee about her emails. She's basically admitted that, yes, she did write this email that was, send this email to a fellow Tory MP and accidentally send it to someone she thought was his wife, but actually it was an aide to another MP. She says that she had brought this issue straight away to Simon Case, the Cabinet Secretary. Well, in her letter to the Home Affairs Select Committee, she contradicted that, saying, well, actually, this issue was raised with her by the Chief Whip. Before, a few hours later, she actually raised it with Simon Case. She also admitted that on 6 occasions she has sent work emails to her home email on her home phone, which is certainly not allowed under the ministerial code. Has she done something wrong, and is it something for which she should be punished? Should she lose her job for that?
I am not privy to the details of that, and she's going to give evidence to the Home Affairs Select Committee under oath, and I trust that she will tell the truth. I believe I am privy to the statements that have been made concerning hotel accommodation or lack of it for migrants from Manston, and I have it on very high authority from the Home Office that prior to when Priti Patel was Home Secretary, accommodation was not just hotels, but accommodation was being provided and the system was working well.
And this is her denying the claim that she'd ignored legal advice on overcrowding at Manston and didn't provide hotel accommodation.
That when Mrs. Braverman took over, that situation changed. That when Grant Shapps took over, briefly, he found a backlog which he tried to clear. And that when Mrs. Braverman took over again, the figures started to mount up again and the backlog started to occur. You can draw your own conclusions.
OK, so Roger Gale, really appreciate you joining us, Conservative MP for North Stanhope.